Welcome in, IllinoisPrep.com. Continuing our playoff previews with 7A Wheaton North out of the brutally tough DBC. And one of the first things when you get the bracket, you start looking at where the different teams are seated and like where the matchups project. And if Wheaton North gets through a really tough first round game against Marian Catholic, they are probably going to make their second trip of the year to Wheaton Warrenville South.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like you could have
split them up.
Yeah. I mean, because you got some Chicago area schools on the other side. You got your Simeons, your St. Rita's, Carmel. So
and we're all within 35 miles of each other at least.
Yeah, and I just
at least 40, 50.
I would have tried to put him somewhere else, and because I just.
You think it's unfair, or you just shouldn't have to play, a conference team in the playoffs?
A little. I mean, I think it's unfair to have to play a conference team because, I mean, give Wheaton North a chance to show they're the second best team in 7A.
Yeah.
We're never going to know because we already know that Wheaton Warrenville South beat them by 4 touchdowns. So what are we here to prove in the second round of the playoffs that they have to play?
Yeah.
And because I think Reese Butler in that passing attack could give plenty of teams problems.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. They did for Lincoln Way East in the game that we went to early in the year.
Oh yeah. And I mean they hung 33 points on Lincoln Way East, who's
one of the best teams out there also.
Yeah, and I mean Lincoln Way East is 8-1. I think that if you put them on the other side, they make some serious noise. If you look at the 4 seed on the other side of the bracket, it's Prospect. They're playing Rockford, Guilford, and then probably Lake Zurich. I mean, Lake Zurich isn't a walkover game for Wheaton North, but I mean, at least they have something to get excited about, a different team. I just think if you're Wheaton North, you gotta try and be confident and have a swagger, but how are you confident going to a team that beat you by 4 touchdowns?
Well, it's tough. It's tough, but that's why you play the game. You got to go in there. You got to, give it everything that you have and try to make Wheaton South second guess on what really happened on the first game. I mean, that comes in with coaching. Maybe we'll come with a different attack. If we think they're the better team, maybe we can do some trick plays. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but for Wheaton North, they have to, they got to first get to that game.
Well, and that's the real question. You talked about sort of like maybe some of the strategies you might try and play. Would you try and run trick plays? I mean, out of the gate, just mix them in all game long.
I mean, I would mix them in. Usually, most of the time, the team that's doing the trick plays is the team that's the inferior team.
Well, yeah,
and that's why you do them because you have no other way to get it. I would pull out whatever I had that I thought would work. I wouldn't care,
Would you consider coming? I mean, obviously, your strength is the passing game. Would you consider coming out, lining up in the I formation, and running the ball right at them?
Yeah, we're doing some triple option or something. But see, that's stuff that you have to be doing in practice. Obviously stuff that you have to be prepared for. And really, you don't want to go too far from what you were doing because obviously, Wheaton North has had a successful year.
Oh, absolutely.
So if they start going and doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff, then they're not going to have even a chance to beat some of these other teams. So what I think they should do is continue with their passing game, continue with the offense the way that they've been running it, and maybe that game that they play, when they play some of these teams later in 7A playoffs, maybe they'll just really start clicking. Maybe they'll get hot. Maybe the other team will have some turnovers. Maybe they'll, convert those turnovers. So stick with what you know, and I think that's what the Falcons have been doing. A very good program in one of the toughest conferences in the state. Yeah. It's going to be, it's going to be tough for them now.
Yeah, it's just anybody other than Wheaton South, it would. I'd have, a serious doubt in my mind as to how far Wheaton North could go. You look at some of these matchups, they'd have a great chance against a lot of teams. I mean, I think they'd probably be the second best team down in that East St. Louis quadrant.
Oh yeah.
But that's just a brutal group of teams there, because not only do you have Wheaton South, you got Glenbard West in there. You got that Lincoln Way East team that we talked about, who is the 3 seed down there. I mean, my opinion, even if you just swapped, and I understand the whole record thing, but if you just swapped where Lincoln Way East and Wheaton North were, and so Wheaton North, didn't have to play Lincoln Way East for a second time. So that Wheaton North didn't play Wheaton Warrenville South for a second time. Get creative, because I think that it's mundane, even for Wheaton South, who probably comes into that game saying, we beat these guys by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, you don't. You never want to play the same team over and over again. It's
if it's the state title game, it's fine. It's the state title game.
That's the way it worked out.
But before that, it's like
it's just an extended regular season.
Yeah, and so that's too bad. I think that Wheaton North Marion Catholic game is probably, looking around here, the best game on paper in the first round of 7A. I think that'll be a very exciting game, and hopefully neither team's too banged up going into a game against Wheaton Warrenville South that they wouldn't be able to give them their best effort. But yeah, like you said, if the passing game clicks for Wheaton North, really clicks,
and that's what they do.
Yeah, they could turn that loose and beat just about anybody in 7A. And if they click enough and pull the rivalry upset in a second round against Wheaton Warrenville South,
and the whole 7A class is just turned upside down. Everybody's like, "What is going on?"
Yeah,
that's good. That's what playoffs are all about.
Exactly. So, good luck to Wheaton North, because you're definitely got a tough road ahead of you, just like anybody does that's coming out of that quadrant with Wheaton South, Glenbard West, Lincoln Way East. That is just brutal looking with all those good teams. So that'll wrap it up here for the Wheaton North Falcons. Looking like a tough team, but also a tough road ahead as they head into the 7A playoffs. Next time, team number 23, as we continue our playoff previews here at IllinoisPrep.com.